guys, Andy here. So if you follow my channel, you'll be aware that I've been sent another Microsoft device. Yeah, an Android fan using a Microsoft Windows phone. And I thought it was time for me to show you how I'd got on with it. So here we go, the Lumia 640 XL.
So we'll start off taking a look at the design of the device. It is quite a sort of big, blocky, like the Nokia ones I've used, Nokia Lumias I used before. It's kind of a blocky device. I mean, not ridiculous. Obviously, I use a Nexus 6. Let's bring that in. So I'm used to this sort of size, and I didn't even think about it being big until I handed it over to a friend at work whose first comment was, "My God, it's massive." Or something along those lines, and I don't particularly notice that because I'm obviously so used to the big Nexus 6. It's about the same size as a 6 Plus as well, for anyone that's got that as a point of reference. It is a bit plasticky feeling. The back cover does come off. I'm not entirely sure the best way that you're supposed to particularly remove it, but get a fingernail in somewhere and just pull. You'll see the SIM card goes in there. It's a micro SIM card, not a nano. Am I the right way around? It's not the smallest one. It's not a huge big one that we see 5-6 years ago, but it's not the tiny ones either. So my Nexus 6 uses a tiny one, so I had to put it in a spacer thing, and then obviously you can put a micro SD card in there. It comes with 8 gig built in, but you can put a micro SD card in, and then the back just kind of pushes back on. As you can see, it says there as Zeiss. It's got the Carl Zeiss optics in it. I like the quick glance bit on the front, so it shows that it has the time always there. I did worry that when all the lights go out and I'm trying to sleep, that actually, even though it looks really dull right now under the lights, that in the darkness it would be quite bright, but it's not. It's really is very dim, and that's why I think it doesn't take any battery. We'll come to battery later. It has tap to wake like previous ones that I've used. The 930, I think it was, had tap to wake, and I do like that. You can change what goes on the lock screen. So at this point, I think I've got a weather to go. Was it? I've got something installed, weather app installed, that I've given access to the lock screen to give me my information. If we move on to the hardware itself, it's actually rather dated hardware. So we've got a Qualcomm Snapdragon 400 chipset. It's got a quad-core 1.2 GHz Cortex A7, Adreno 305 GPU. As I mentioned, 8 gig of storage and 1 GB of RAM. Now, I looked back through Android devices. Even the Nexus 4 from 2012 has better specs than that. Having said that, Windows does tend to run very well on low specifications. This is pretty smooth, as you can see here. There were times I did notice switching in and out of apps that actually it would be a little slow, a little laggy, but on the whole, do you see that there? It was a little bit of lag as it swung back into. Oh, I didn't mean to tap the latter. I'm going to tap the app. Oh, I scrolled too high up. So it's fairly smooth, as you can see. Oh, a little bit of lag there. You know, it's not perfect, but yeah, it's pretty smooth generally. Slightly laggy, but like I said, I mean, this is sort of 2.5-year-old tech. Well, probably even a bit. Like I said, the Nexus 4 actually had a bit better than this. I think it had 2 gig of RAM, for example, and etc. The screen itself is only a 720p screen, but again, even on such a large device as this, with I think it's a 5.5-inch screen, I think. I don't think you could tell. I think this is why I think everyone's getting a bit carried away with the amount of pixels on a screen. I think that's very clear, crisp, good colours. The speaker, the inbuilt speaker, pretty horrific, I would have to say. Well, maybe I'm being harsh. I guess it's not so bad. There's not much bass. I mean, that last track should have had a bass going on in the background, but nothing there. Let me see if I can go real quick into podcasts and play so you can kind of get a rough idea.
It's time for Twit This Week in Tech. Top money. You're not going to make a lot of money even with the other streaming music services like Pandora, Spotify. But if you're a new artist, that's how your music gets out.
I can't listen to them at regular speed these days. It just sounds it's too slow and dull and boring. So I don't know. Maybe I'm a bit harsh. That's not too bad. That's pretty audible. Again, I'm comparing to the Nexus 6, which I think has some of the best speakers on a phone. And again, a lot of people could not give two monkeys about phone speakers because they never use them. I use them every day, so to me it's quite important. Anyway, I can tell you do get very good volume from the headphone speakers. So when I have listened to music, very loud, very clear, more so I would say than my Nexus. I would point out as well the screen, it's Gorilla Glass 3, which is fine. The latest one is 4. I think there's not actually that many that have 4 though, so I wouldn't really count that as a negative. It's generally Gorilla Glass 3 is very good. I've also found that I seem to get slightly poor reception from this. So I've never had in my times using different devices, going to the gym, Nexus 6, Nexus 5, Galaxy S6. I've never struggled to stream YouTube, but I basically had no signal when I went with use this in the gym a couple of days back. Now, I might just have been unlucky and that maybe EE were having some problems in the area at the time, but I couldn't watch videos. I was struggling even to stream music when I was on the exercise bike. Excuse me. When I went upstairs, it seemed to be okay again. So maybe the antenna hardware inside is a bit dated as well. Maybe that's what part of the problem. And also, I noticed there's not a dedicated camera button, which actually I kind of almost expect on a Windows phone. I don't know why. Maybe I'm wrong. I think the previous couple have had one. It's not a big thing. Maybe my Nexus didn't have one. Hardly any Android devices have them. I just something I noticed that they pride themselves on their cameras and such, but there's no camera button. The battery, which we did see when I took the back off, 3,000 milliamp hours. I would say easily took me through 48 hours. So I took it off charge kind of 11 o'clock one day. I went to work, I slept, I had my day off, went to the gym, etc., etc. I mean, it didn't have massive use, and that might be partly why it lasted so long. But with 48 hours, I still had kind of, I don't know, I think it was 14 or 15% left in the battery. Pretty good going generally. Battery shouldn't be an issue. So I mentioned earlier the camera. We've got 13 megapixel rear camera with the Carl Zeiss optics, and we have a 5 megapixel front-facing camera. The rear camera, I think, produces some pretty good stills results, but the video I thought was quite jerky. It didn't focus too well, and it didn't really, I wouldn't even say, sort of match up with my Nexus 6 in a comparison. The front-facing camera, I thought actually they had some of the best selfie pictures that I'd taken for a while. So very good front-facing camera. It has its own sort of HDR mode. Let's just nip in and I forget exactly what it's called. Rich format. Let's go back in and put up again. So rich capture off, rich capture on. So that's kind of their sort of their version of HDR. I didn't think it was particularly effective. There was a slight difference, as in you could make out clouds a little better with the rich capture on when I was outdoors, but it didn't seem to be a huge advantage. So we then talk about software. Start with the keyboard. What's going to be the easiest way for me to show the keyboard? So the keyboard, I'm not sure that's changed at all. Since anytime I've reviewed it, you still can't change it. Even iOS lets you use third-party keyboards. I still don't like that I can't get to numbers by holding a key down. I think that's quite poor. But having said that, it's fairly quick and responsive. Fairly quick and responsive to type on. The swipe version works fine, so pretty good. Obviously, I can't install how do we discard that? Let's just come out. Also, I can't install Google Music like I normally would on a phone, but I've used this Mix Radio, gave it a couple of artists that I like, and then generally actually it's been some pretty good tunes that I've... So I do quite like Kelly Rowland. I didn't tell it that, but it seems to have quite a good algorithm, so thumbs up really for the... that's the inbuilt music app. I've mentioned that I like the double tap to wake. That's quite handy, especially since I keep getting the power and the volume mixed up because I'm used to them being the other way around on my Nexus 6. I've also... So normally I sort of write my notes on Google Drive as I do a review, but I thought, right, let's give OneNote a crack. So I've been using OneNote, and yeah, it seems pretty good. I mean, not much different to Google Drive, I guess. I've got loads of space on OneDrive, but that's actually Samsung and Android that have given me like 100 gig when I signed on the S6, I think. So, yeah, good there. Now, I still have issue with notifications. So, at the top there, we can see my Signal, Wi-Fi, my beacon saying that I'm on vibration mode, and then just a notification. Now, that seems to be, unless I'm missing something, that seems to be the same for all notifications. So, what have we got here? Yeah, so I've got Push TV, I've got Wi-Fi, and I've got Facebook. All, but it's just that one icon. And even though I didn't dismiss the notifications, the icon has now gone. You could argue, well, you've seen them, so you don't need the notification anymore. But if I've not dismissed them, it means I still want to be reminded of them. Maybe I'm just too used to the Android way of doing things, but I don't like that. Also, no, I don't know if I've actually got any emails at the minute. So I can't dismiss, or I can't just swipe away like you can on Android and iOS. You can just swipe away an email, and I can't do that. I mean, you can hold down... Oh, I thought you could. Oh no, I'm sure. Oh, has it crashed? Maybe it has. Maybe I've... Oh my goodness. Whee! We're back in action. We're back. So it looks like... Can I do it this time? No. Okay. I've rebooted. We're back in action. So you can hold down on one and you get the option to delete or mark as unread or etc. But yeah, it's just not as simple as, because obviously swipes here do something different. On the plus side, I'm very pleased that there is now a NFL Game Pass app. You might have saw us. I was backing through. I was checking, and there it was. And also an Uber app. So just something that that's a relatively new thing, but they're in Windows. Anyway, I'm supposed to really be reviewing the phone, not the operating system at this point. So, but there we go. I've been using it for 5 or 6 days, and much like when I've had them before, actually, yeah, they're pretty good phones. They're pretty well covered in the apps these days. The specific apps that I use aren't necessarily on here, like GFit or TV show Favs, but there are other things that will do a very similar job. If I was, if I had to launch into the Windows Phone ecosystem, I think I would generally be okay. Obviously, I'm very much into the Android ecosystem and everything Google, so Google Plus, Google Photos, Google Drive, which means that I just can't, because they're not on Windows, I can't live on this device for much longer. So I'm just doing the review now, I won't lie, so that I can get back to my Android device and carry on life as normal. But like I say, actually, I think that this is a pretty good phone, the 640 XL, considering you can pick them up for about £180. It is old hardware, and you might argue that actually, although it's £180 isn't much, I would probably argue it should be cheaper than that. It should be sort of £140 on hardware of this age. But having said that, it generally operates pretty well. It's pretty smooth. The camera's generally quite good. And all around, it's a pretty good device. I'm really looking forward to Windows 10 coming out. I'm hoping that when it does, the good people at Microsoft or Connect or whoever they are exactly will offer me a device to review then, because that will be interesting. Well, it'll be more to review the operating system rather than the device. So all round, it's a little bit big, a little bit clunky. It's a little bit dated in its actual hardware and technology, but Windows makes it work on that hardware. So all credit to Windows Phone for that. And actually, yeah, it's a pretty good device, the 640 XL. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. My name's Andy. I'll catch you all again soon.